Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to Stormgate Central. So today we're going to be taking a little bit of a look at Stormgate's ranking system, because this game actually has a ranking system that is unlike any other RTS game that I've ever seen, and much like many other things in Stormgate, it borrows from some of the best parts of other RTS games on the market. Before we get into that though, we are going to be going over a little bit of a Steam Next Fest recap that Frost Giant have put out on their website, so some very interesting statistics there to go over. As always guys, if you do enjoy the content here on the channel, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Lots more Stormgate content coming here on the way for you guys, so thank you all very much for your support so far. So I'm sure many of you had the opportunity to play Stormgate on the Next Fest over on Steam last week, and Frost Giant have gone ahead and published some very interesting statistics here about this, so let's go and take a look at it. I mentioned some of these in my video the other day, but I guess these have now been a little bit more sort of confirmed and refined by Frost Giant. So first of all, awesome news here that Stormgate was the #1 most played RTS during the Next Fest. It was the #2 most played game during the Next Fest, and it is now number 39 on the most wishlisted games on Steam. And for those of you who aren't aware, getting your game wishlisted on Steam is a massive deal. Working your way up that wishlist is really big for the algorithm on Steam, and it helps them like promote the game and basically get it in front of people's eyes. Here are the final statistics for the two races then. So the Infernals have a win rate of 55.3%, whilst the Vanguard see 44.5%. And then the other way around, they kind of switch around with the pick rates here. So the Vanguard have a pick rate of 61.6% and 38.4% for the Infernals. Kind of interesting there, the way that the Vanguard are actually picked more, but they lose more as well, they win less. So overall, during the Next Fest, there were 534,052 ranked 1v1 matches, which apparently is about one match for every second of the Steam Next Fest. Absolutely insane numbers there, and I think it just goes to show how many people were actually enjoying playing the game. So this next slide here is called the Road to Master, and this is basically the distribution, I guess, of all of the ranks here, and it shows the average win rates for each of the leagues, and then how many average games it was taking people, I believe, to get into those leagues. So here you can see it takes you like almost 40 games just to work your way up through the aspirant ranks into Bronze League, whilst people in the Platinum rank had around 84 games on average, people up in Diamond 137, and then people up in the Master League there. It looks like it's going to take you almost 180 games to reach those heights there. Of course, if you win enough of them. Then we have the Hall of Fame, the top 3 players from the Stormgate beta during the Steam Next Fest, and in first place here is Veni Vidi Vici, who a lot of people had no idea who was for the longest time. It actually turned out to be Parting, so there you go, 333 wins, 14 losses, 96% win rate. That is absolutely bananas. I honestly can't fathom that win rate. Like, what the hell? That is just insane. Then we have Luciferon coming in the #2 spot, and can I just say how happy I am to see that we have an Infernal player and a Vanguard player in the top 2 spots here. So he's got 177 wins, 23 losses, 89% win rate. Very admirable there indeed. And then in third place, we have Vortex, actually Luciferon's brother, for those who don't know, with 152 wins, 23 losses, and an 89% win rate. And as Frost Giant have added here, that win rate is higher than some of the most dominant tennis players of all time. Higher than Serena Williams' 84.6%, Rafael Nadal's 82.9%, and Roger Federer's 82%. So that really does just tell you how incredibly high 96% win rate is there. And as I mentioned before, Luciferon and Vortex, they are the brothers from Spain, otherwise known as the Spanish Armada. And these guys must have some pretty special DNA, because it seems that whatever RTS game they throw themselves into, they end up being pretty much at the top of the leaderboard. So throughout the years, they've been competitive players in Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne, StarCraft 2, Heroes of the Storm, Age of Empires 4, and now, of course, Stormgate. So talking of laddering and some of the best players in the world and all of that, that's a perfect segue into discussing the ranking system. So I think a lot of players don't really understand how the ranking system of Stormgate works, but it takes definitely some inspiration from other games like StarCraft and maybe Age of Empires and kind of rolls them together into one. So for those of you who've played, let's say, StarCraft 2, the way that game works is that you get an MMR, which basically is used to calculate which opponent you're going to be facing, and the greater the differentiation between your MMR and your opponents, the greater the MMR loss or the MMR gain for you or your opponent if you win or lose. And as you pass these different thresholds in your MMR, you get promoted through the ranks, right? You end up going through bronze, silver, gold, etc. And there are 3 different tiers to each and every league there. Now, Stormgate also has MMR, and it works in the same way it does in StarCraft 2, at least when it comes to matching you up to a player of similar skill. But it actually isn't what dictates your rank in Stormgate, at least not directly. So if we go and take a look at another game like Age of Empires 4, in that game you actually don't have a visible MMR, I believe. You basically just have an ELO rating of sorts, which is essentially called ranking points, and as you go up through the ranking points and you pass thresholds there, you get promoted to better and higher leagues. And that is exactly what you see on your profile when you're playing Stormgate. You can see both your MMR, which is used to match you up to your opponent, but you can also see what are called ranking points, which are these various thresholds that you have to pass through in order to get promoted. They've set these two systems to work independently of one another and also together. So your MMR can of course fluctuate up and down, but it's not tied at all to the league that you're in. Your ranking points, on the other hand, can only go up. So you can gain points, you can not gain any points, but you can never lose points. And that also means, very importantly, you can actually never drop down out of your league. So over on the Discord here, there's actually a very interesting Q&A about the matchmaking and ladder systems in the game. It is pretty long, so I'm not going to show the entire thing to you guys here. But here is a little excerpt explaining why they went with such a system. The goal of a ranking system attached to a ladder is to promote activity and to make sure players are always incentivized to play more, and at the very least, never discouraged from playing. If one uses the current rating, then players still have access to this maximum. They can just stop playing on a high and protect their MMR that way. That is simply not fun, so we give you this maximum for free and you can't lose it. So you can keep playing with confidence even towards the end of a season. It should also help with ladder anxiety, knowing that you're not going to negatively affect your rank by losing the next game. So I absolutely love this approach to the system. Personally for me, I know that feeling when you've just hit that new league, you've just hit that new rank, and you're afraid to lose it. Now eventually they did change this for StarCraft 2, and they've done this for other games as well, where once you hit a certain tier and a certain league, you can no longer drop down out of that league. So let's say for example you need 3000 MMR to hit Platinum League. I'm not sure what the MMR is, but this doesn't really matter because it's just an example. You hit 3k, you get promoted to Platinum 3, and to get to Platinum 2, you know that you need 3.5k. But you lose a bunch of games, you get down to 2.5k, and it's all good because you don't get demoted out of Platinum back into the Gold League, but you're still aware that you need to make up that massive difference there. You need to get all the way from 2.5k MMR up to 3.5k to get promoted to the next league. Whereas in Stormgate, whilst you can see your MMR, it's not really tied to which league you're in, so you don't know what kind of MMR you need to hit in order to get promoted. All you see at the end of a game is you either gain some points or you don't gain any. Maybe you gain 1 or 2 points, maybe you beat an opponent who's way better than you, way higher MMR, and you get like 20 or 30 points. But every single time you get a win, it truly does feel like a win and like you're constantly moving up that ladder because you can't lose any of those ranking points. Now, this surely can result in situations where if you do go ahead and lose a bunch of MMR and you start playing games way below your league, then you're probably not going to gain any of these ranking points game after game after game. But I would still argue that that is a lot more healthier than seeing your MMR drop down and knowing that you need to build it up to a much higher threshold in order to see that next promotion. Guys, let me know what you think of this system down below in the comments. If you missed this video the other day going over all of the new patch notes for the new Stormgate beta update, feel free to check that one out. But otherwise, have a great day, guys, and I will see you all in another video.